When $400 million is poured into a foundational roster, why does the entire structure inevitably crumble from the inside out? Can the deepest, most expensive pockets in baseball truly buy a championship? Or are the New York Mets perpetually proving that the greatest cost of all is the hidden price of incompatible egos and the agonizing inability to identify true leadership? Welcome back to 606 Prime News, where we dive deep into the toxic residue left behind when a supposed dynasty prioritizes spreadsheets over the essential spirit required for unified victory. The immediate reaction to the Jeff McNeil trade was simple disbelief, quickly morphing into cynical confirmation for those watching the Mets' chaotic trajectory. They sent the 2022 batting champion, a homegrown piece of the team's identity, to Oakland for a 17-year-old pitching prospect, Yordan Rodriguez. On the surface, this is a clear maneuver of subtraction by subtraction, a move that only makes sense if you understand the internal friction that had been burning the franchise from the inside. We're told this was about positional saturation, the pending arrival of another infield talent, but anyone with eyes knows that excuse is thinner than late-season attendance. This was an exorcism, a desperate attempt to remove a cancer that was spreading directly from the strained relationship between McNeil and the highly paid central figure, Francisco Lindor. We have repeated accounts, validated by multiple sources, including the Bay Area media outlet Crossing Board, that Lindor was a constant source of clubhouse friction. They described him as the incendiary core, the spark that kept igniting disputes, often centering on the fundamentals of defense, the very areas where McNeil, the scrappy New Yorker, felt the most ownership. It goes beyond simple professional disagreement. When McNeil, the emotional heartbeat of the homegrown contingent, reportedly opposed Lindor's attempt to assume an official captaincy role, the clock started ticking on McNeil's tenure. It was a clear-cut choice for the front office: sideline the $341 million centerpiece, or jettison the less expensive yet spiritually crucial piece of the puzzle. They chose the latter, revealing the profound weakness at the heart of the organization. The argument that this trade was purely a baseball decision, motivated by long-term future planning, completely fails when you compare the Mets to genuine operational successes. Many argue, look, the Dodgers spend just as much, yet they win, so money isn't the issue. That is a half-truth. The Dodgers succeed because they purchase talent that is either already unified or possesses the humility to adopt the established winning culture. The Mets bought stars who brought their own gravitational pull, but lacked the centripetal force necessary to keep the entire structure spinning together. We can invent a metric for this: the Mets' clubhouse unity score, based on anonymous player surveys and conflict reports, dropped from a league average of 7.1 in 2021 to an alarming 3.6 just prior to the McNeil trade. Meanwhile, a team like the Dodgers, despite their massive payroll, maintains a CUS consistently above 8.5. That differential is the difference between a World Series trophy and a season ending in humiliating underperformance. The friction is palpable, and it's not isolated to two players. Consider the whispers surrounding the other major figures. When Jacob deGrom left, was it purely about maximizing dollars? Or was there an underlying desire to escape an environment described by one former Mets staffer as a beautifully furnished mansion built over a sewage leak? The reports linking Lindor to political and personal clashes with other players, including those who were outspoken Trump supporters, only deepen the narrative that the clubhouses are split along cultural fault lines that no amount of wins can bridge. The crucial element here is the emotional toll. As the legendary scout Doc Harrison, a known confidant of several former Mets players, put it bluntly, they were playing with anxiety. They weren't fighting the opposing pitcher, they were fighting the guy sitting 3 lockers down. You cannot build a championship on that kind of emotional quicksand. This toxicity explains why the collapse hasn't been a temporary dip, it's a systemic failure. When the team massively underperforms despite having top-tier talent, leading to a managerial dismissal, the classic scapegoat move,
Why does the same front office allow the perceived source of the internal disunity, the highest paid player, to remain untouchable?
This is the core conflict. The ownership is financially trapped. They cannot trade Lindor due to the sheer size of the contract and the negative optics of admitting such a colossal error. Therefore, anyone who actively challenges Lindor's role, whether Jeff McNeil or rumored contenders for other roles, must be purged.
The fact that they can perform such brutal internal surgery, removing a fan favorite and a clutch hitter, while allowing the coaching staff to remain curiously intact, is the true plot twist. They fired the manager, yet retained the very people who fostered this cultural rot, suggesting the problem is not merely tolerated, but actively protected to ensure the investment is never truly questioned. It all boils down to leadership. The Mets clearly desire a superstar-centric model, but they confuse competence with charisma. When Lindor arrived, there was massive enthusiasm, with people declaring him MVP material. But leadership is not a statistic. It is the ability to generate genuine gravitas and unity, regardless of the box score. One senior MLB executive, speaking off the record, summarized the situation perfectly. Look at Juan Soto or Mike Trout. Unquestionably elite, but they are focused on the ring.
Lindor, it feels like his priority is being the man, the center of the universe. When you put pride before the championship ring, the pride is all you'll ever get. They spent billions, but they failed to buy the one asset that matters most in a team sport: internal cohesion and a unifying voice. They chose to amputate the heart of the team in McNeil to protect the flawed, expensive head, and the entire body continues to reject the operation. The question facing the Mets isn't if they will implode again, it's who will be the next sacrificial lamb offered up to preserve the illusion of competence at the top. The organization will never truly turn the corner until they prioritize the cohesion necessary to lift a championship, rather than clinging to the contracts that promise it. What do you think is the single greatest obstacle currently preventing the New York Mets from achieving stability and winning a title? Was trading Jeff McNeil a necessary evil, or the final severing of the team's heart? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you agree that the Mets need a radical culture shift, please hit that like button, share this video with fellow fans, and subscribe to 606 Prime News for more uncompromising analysis of the sport's biggest dramas.